Listening to 100 Words or Less with Ray Harkins. Hello one, hello all. Welcome to the podcast in which we dissect and dive into the details behind the people that make up our cool punk and hardcore, indie rock, emo, metal scenes, whatever it is. As long as it is of the DIY and independent variety, that's what we care about. That's who we have discussions with. And today is, in my mind and many people's minds, a damn legend in the game. His name is Bill Stevenson. And I probably just need to stop there because you're already aware of his work. But he's the drummer of the Descendents. He also played in Black Flag for 2 or 3 years. He also plays in Only Crime. And he's an incredible producer, engineer, whatever you want to call him. He's the guy fiddling the knobs at the blasting room in Fort Collins, Colorado, if I'm not mistaken, and has worked on a ton of records that you have in your collection. I can guarantee it. But Bill is exactly as his drumming is. Frenetic, high energy. The dude is dialed in and going at 100 miles an hour. And while that may make for a difficult conversation, he was so forthcoming with his time and was just down to hang. It was very, charming, cool, whatever it is. But the reason that he is here is because the Descendents are reissuing a bunch of their classic records and making sure that, the rights holders are in the right places where the band is truthfully getting compensated appropriately for what it is that they're releasing. They have 2 vinyl reissues out. One is pre-order right now. It's I Don't Want to Grow Up. And then Milo Goes to College is formally released. It's out there. You can definitely purchase that wherever you may want to purchase records, but you can also go to orgmusic.com. They have collections there. They also have a really, really rad, they call it the Punk Note series, which any of you who have seen this in record shops, they did it for Bad Brains, but basically it's mimicking the awesome aesthetic and layout and design of Blue Note Records, the classic jazz record label, and they're making it with punk bands. It's just a really, really cool idea and vibe. So check out all of those Descendants reissues, and they're going to continue to come. They're reissuing a bunch of great stuff that has been out of print for quite some time. And it's great. And Bill was such a, like I said, great dude to hang out with. And it was my pleasure and honor. And I hope that you enjoy it as well. You can always email the show, 100wordspodcast@gmail.com. And if you just want guest ideas or whatever the case, whatever is in your brain that you want to reach out to me for, totally do that. Love to get any and all feedback from you. You can also support the show for free. Just takes 30 seconds to maybe a minute of your time, leaving a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or simply leaving a rating on Spotify. All of those things help out. If you want to follow along with the show on YouTube, I don't do a video version of it because that's a whole separate, ball of wax or conversation that you're asking your guests to appear on camera, and some of them are just like, I don't really want to do that. Just want to hang out. So I'm keeping it audio only, sticking true to the medium, but I'm posting audio clips on YouTube. You can click a link in the show notes that will take you right to that page, and you can listen to the podcast on YouTube, wherever it is. I just want to make it available to as many people as possible. And then, weekly recommendations. There's a link in the show notes to both Spotify and Apple Music for recommendations that I have been compiling week over week. These are records, new, old, everything in between that I just want you to pay attention to because after all, word of mouth is the best way to find out about music. I don't care who you are or how educated you are. You can always learn more. And that is what I am learning as a aging human with a child that is super into music that is not really aligned with mine. It's really, really interesting to learn stuff from him that I'm like, wow, I never knew that about the Eagles, or wow, that's interesting. I wasn't familiar with Paul McCartney's solo output. But anyways, let's talk about the weekly recommendation. You need to listen to this band, Crushed. they released a record called No Scope, and it's on Ghostly International. It's spectacular, sort of electronic. And it's not like electronic dance music. It is it's vibes for days. Not shoegaze, but definitely creates an atmosphere. Beautiful vocals. If you listen to the Temple of Angels record that came out, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago on Run for Cover Records, it is the vocalist of that band, Bree, and she is a very talented musician, and I love this record. So it's her and I guess, beat maker slash, atmosphere creator. I don't know exactly what you want to call it, but he's also a good bloke, as they say, even though he's not from the UK, but I just decided to call him a bloke. Anyways, check out the Crushed record. It's called No Scope. It's spectacular. Just came out late September, and it's really, really good. So check it out. And click on the link in the show notes for the playlist. I update those weekly as I throw in new recommendations, and hopefully you find something you like. So that's what we got. Now let's talk to Bill Stevenson, because he's the best. The fact that the Descendents are just, it just makes me so happy that new generations of people can discover the Descendents, can collect their vinyl, can just be exposed to this awesome music that was very foundational for me personally, getting into, punk and pop punk and all that sort of stuff. It was, they were definitely one of the, I'm not exaggerating, like first 10 bands that I was identifying with, from, Green Day, Rancid, Offspring, all the big ones. And then once I started to dig a little bit deeper, Descendents just jumped to the top of the list as far as, me finding myself and my music tastes. I credit them wholeheartedly for ushering me further down the rabbit hole. So anyways, let's talk to Bill Stevenson now and pick up those Descendents reissues. I'm not a loser. That's right. Since we're here, because obviously the Milo Goes to College stuff is getting re-released with the official, full weight of the band behind it. For you, I know this is kind of a softball question, but I think it's important to ask. Why was it important for you guys to get this version out there, just as like the definitive statement of what Milo Goes to College is?
Well, it's not a version. It's the album, like how it always originally was. They're gonna release those other alternate versions too. They do those ones that kind of look like Blue Note records.
Yep.
And those are going to be cool too. But it's just the original album. The reason we wanted to get it out is because nobody could find it anywhere. The kids would say, "I can't find your guys' albums anywhere." So now we kind of got control of them, and we're working with Org Music, and they're gonna release them all. So it's gonna be super cool. Plus, we can have them for sale at the live shows. It's gonna be great.
Right. Yeah. Well, like I said, it was a softball question, but I think it's important to be like, oh yes, like you said, there's these different versions, but ultimately the core of it, you're just like, I want people to be able to buy it and find it easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of dovetailing off that, I know, like, clearly when you started to play in bands and, Black Flag and Descendants and everything, the music business was not like, you guys weren't interested in it. So you were obviously doing something completely different. Now that clearly many years have passed and you've had a lot of different, interactions with the music industry and the music business, how would you kind of define your relationship towards it maybe now? Is it just something that you obviously have to work with and work within, or is this something that you're just like, the farther away from it I am, the better?
Descendants, I think, have always been not anything to do with like business or promotion or any of that stuff. So we do seem we do what sorry, we do what's necessary, I guess. What it is, we've just always more focused on the music itself, kind of like music for music's sake. Yeah, we're not good at self-promotion, or I don't know if it's that we're not good at it. We just don't. We're not into it. But luckily, we've had some really good interactions with record labels, that have done great jobs. And also, I mean, even like our booking agent, they totally kick ass. And a lot, maybe some of between our booking agent and like, Epitaph and now Org, we got enough people kind of looking out for us business wise that, we can kind of just focus on the music for the most part.
Right. Which is truthfully, obviously, why you do it in the first place. I mean, some people, like you're talking about, where they wade further into the music business in order to try to find ways to make the band more successful, where you guys have just kind of tried to stick with what you know, which is obviously, singing about coffee and girls and whatever.
Well, we just sing about whatever's on our mind at the time. Yeah, could be fishing, could be infidelity, could be whatever it is. I think our place in all of this hasn't really changed. It's kind of we just it's music for music's sake, and that's really it. And it even in the live show, we're not really entertainers, but I think the way we approach our thing, which is just kind of like a full-bodied commitment to, like, playing the songs properly. I think that in and of itself is entertaining. Like, when you see the Ramones, that's what you see. They're not entertainers, they're just really digging into their songs. Or, Black Flag, there's not there's a lot of great bands that aren't really entertainers. But then there's some bands that are just boring because it's not that fun to watch them play their songs. But yeah,
Yeah,
we just kind of do our thing. It still just feels like our garage, even if we're playing in front of a, a ton of people. These days, and it's not unheard of for us to be out in front of 10, 20, 30,000 people, whatever. But it's still, we kind of make it just feel like our garage. A lot of personal contact on stage with each other, a lot of eye contact, a lot of little funny in jokes that we throw in the music that are like, you know, perhaps quoting other bands that we like, that we like within our own song. Like I might play a riff from some song that I know Stefan likes by who knows whoever, and he might chuckle like in the middle of the show. We try to just, I think that being in the moment, being present, and also not phoning it in. I like to think when you go see the Descendents, you saw them doing something that was like unique to that night. They didn't just phone it in.
of course. Yeah. Well, and I think for as many times as I know, I personally have seen you guys over the years, including many other, people that have obviously seen you. I think it's the consistency of what you guys bring to the table is there. And I think the mission statement kind of comes through where it's like, yeah, no matter who we're playing to, like you're going to get the same version of the Descendants, but a good version, like something that will still resonate no matter where you're seeing them.
We just try to have fun. I think that's the most important part for any kind of thing, whether you're doing music or I don't know, painting, acting, any of the arts, any kind of like entertainment sort of stuff. If I think people can tell when you're having fun, and they can also tell when you're not having fun. I saw a band. They did their big like reunion after having been broken up for 20 years or something, and they did their big reunion. And I went to see them, and it was like I wasn't a huge fan, but I was aware of this band. And I went to see them, and I was like, wow, I don't think they like each other. Like they would never look at each other, and they put, how you can where you set up on stage, like how far away is the guitar and bass player from the singer? How far left and how far right,
Yep.
and how far back the drummer is. We try to crowd ourselves up all together so we can hang out and see each other. But this band I was like, wow, I don't think they like each other. They the only time they look at each other, they look so stern. But I didn't really know because I hadn't been a fan. But that was kind of funny to watch.
Evilgreed.com is the home of the heavy. You know, I just noticed a banner on top of their website and it perfectly encapsulates what they do. They sell heavy music, merchandise, and records. And they have an awesome lineup because it is very, very particularly curated around that credo. Heavy music. I was about to say heavy music for heavy people. That's a Fat Records, but fat music for fat people. You know what I'm saying. Anyways, they have a promo code, 10% off your first order, vinyl. It is specific to this show. So use that, and then they understand marketing works. This partnership can continue, and everybody wins. So use that promo code vinyl for purchasing stuff from, say, a band like Speed, or maybe you're super into Spanish love songs, or maybe you like Angel Dust. Those are all bands that they work with, but they also work with really, really cool record labels like, like Iodine Records, Triple B Records, Sargent House. They work with so many cool labels, but it's all with that specific point of view, home of the heavy, you know? So check that out. Go to evilgreed.com, purchase away. They're based in Berlin, Germany, but ship worldwide, and the shipping rates to us here in the United States are very advantageous. So use that promo code vinyl for 10% off of your order and go shopping. Considering, I mean, you've obviously been behind the kit for, decades. And then also clearly you've done a lot of work as a producer for, just as many years. I presume you probably don't think of yourself in these binary terms of like, oh, I am a drummer or I am a producer. But who do you, I guess, kind of, lean more towards as far as your identity is concerned? Like, would you consider yourself a drummer first and a producer second?
First, I'm Miles and Maddie's father.
Yep.
And then second, I'm like a guy who does all kinds of stuff in music.
Got it. Yeah, you're comfortable being like, I'm just a music person, whatever that may mean to you.
Yeah, the producer hat, the drummer hat, the kind of band den mother
Sure.
hat, and then the songwriter hat. I don't know, and it's evolved over the years too. It's changed. For instance, when I had kids, I cut down on the touring a bit, because I didn't want to be an absentee father. So I cut down on the touring, and I kind of supplemented my, livelihood by just doing a lot more engineering and producing. Then I found when the kids got older, they're both grown ass adults now. I found myself back more drumming, less engineering. Last year we did 92 shows, I think.
Right, that's a lot.
That's a lot, even if you're not old. That's a lot of shows in 1 year. So it kind of floats around songwriting, drumming. I mean, I'm kind of the band's de facto manager. We don't have a manager, but I kind of babysit things as best I can. So then I got the office guy hat that I wear a couple hours each day. Office guy.
You got to email some people, make some calls. I get it.
Yeah. Isn't it weird about emails? Like one email sent, it seems to beget 10 new emails received. And so you can't win. On Monday, I had 342 unanswered emails. And I've been just busting my butt several hours a day to get that inbox cleared out, right? Isn't that the ultimate goal of all human beings, to get that inbox down to zero?
Of course.
And okay, so I've been working really hard on it. But so on Monday, it was 340 something unanswered emails. It's 515 unanswered emails now. but I've been working my butt off. So it's like,
What am I doing? Yeah, these are like gremlins. Can I not water them? They're
yeah,
populating. Yeah, totally.
whack-a-mole. It's like
Yeah,
whack-a-mole emails. Somebody always wants something, and I don't mean that, oh yeah, like I'm the man about town, I'm in demand. I just mean, I got a lot of moving parts. The recording studio is, the blasting room, it's its own business, and you have got people emailing me about
right.
that all the time, and that's just, yeah, I just kind of wake up and drink my coffee, and then I figure out what's next and try to do it,
Sure.
whatever next is. Like today I will have done some mixing, some band practice, some administrative work for like the Canadian paperwork because we're going to Canada in a couple days, some interviews, and and then I'll go do my resistance training in the evening. So yeah, kind of keep going. I guess if you stop going, then you get old. I don't want to get old. Not yet. I don't feel. I'm 60. I'm going to be 62 in 2 weeks, right? But I don't feel that way. I feel like I got plenty of juice left in me.
Drilling into something just the recording studio aspect. I know that when you're recording bands, providing honesty, also with encouragement to not feel like you're crushing the band with like, oh man, you guys are terrible. Like, um, how have you, I guess, kind of navigated those instances where you needed to play, the good cop or the bad cop? Or do you find yourself just being, pretty consistent with your feedback?
I I think my humanity and my character, my integrity, and also my knowledge, and maybe a little wisdom. That it usually leads me to the right spot. I'm known for being patient, like to a fault, uh, and sometimes that requires going out in the room with the band guy and kind of showing them how to do what the thing that I feel is needed to be done, whether that be on the drums, the guitar, the bass, the vocals. I'll go out in the room with them and I'll sit with them, or if it's drums, I'll get behind the kit and I'll show you. I'll go, here. I'm show you what I mean. I'm kind of like this. Um, or with the guitar, I'll pick up the guitar and go, here, I'll show you what I mean. Kind of like this. Or with singing, I'll go out in the room. Sometimes if it's the singers, it's their nerves. They get nervous. So I'll go out in the room and I'll do this. Sometimes I'll go, okay, I'm going to sing you a song a cappella all the way through. And then you're going to sing me a song a cappella all the way through, so that we break down this thing of you being nervous. You being nervous because you're insecure about your abilities, or you being nervous because you're with Bill Stevenson. I mean, whatever that means. But whatever the reason is you're nervous, I want to break that down. And that's what I do with the singers a lot of time is I'll go in and I'll sing them like I, I tend to sing them a Cole Porter song. And those are pretty difficult melodies and they're very vulnerable songs, a lot of them. And then I go, okay, now you sing me one. And you know, to, with players, if they're a good band and if they're good players, usually it's like making them comfortable is 90% of it. A lot of times it's their headphones. Their headphones aren't right. So I'll go in and I go, let me hear your headphones. Let me listen to them. Let me put them on. Let me put them on and try to do what you're doing. And then I'll go, oh, wow, I see. I see. That would be hard to play like that. I go, you need more drums in your headphones so you can play on time better, or if the person's singing, or go, well, you need more bass guitar to accompany that guitar so that you've got a better uh, center of pitch from which to reference, what you're going to be singing. And just try to make them comfortable however I can. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not really. I don't want to berate anybody or make them feel bad. And too, with Pro Tools, you can fix some things without it like sounding like you fixed it. And so sometimes if it's quicker for me to fix it than to put them through the arduous task of trying to get a tiny little bit better of a timing or something, I can scoot it around a little bit. I don't like to dig into the auto tune too much, and I don't like to edit stuff too tightly to where it gets that artificial feel. But sometimes you can help somebody along a little bit just by scooting things around a little bit. Bass players, running ahead on the chorus. Okay, I'll just scoot him back a little bit. He'll be all right. We don't have to. We don't have to have a Camp David about it.
Descendents, in general, have shown up in so many different, pop culture things that obviously are probably funny for you to look back at, whether it's like, being included in movie soundtracks or, video games or whatever. The and that could serve very much as a jumping off point for people to like get into the band. For you personally, what has been echoed back to you as a starting point for people finding out about you via pop culture rather than the sort of, normal process of being like, oh yeah, I get into punk and, listen to Minor Threat and, Dead Kennedys and Descendents or whatever. Or do you have any memories of like people referencing?
I kind of want to answer this on the macro and on the micro, because two things came to mind. Okay, on the macro, like the little cartoon character, it draws people in. It's like, what the hell is that? What does this band sound like? And then on the micro, okay, I was watching this TV show. It's called Reservation Dog.
Yes. Yeah. Sterling Harjo is the director. Yeah. The creator. Yeah.
And it's a show it's done all by natives. There aren't too many honkies involved with it, and so it's a really great show. And I'm watching it, and there's this scene where one of the lead women in it, the young lady, she's in her room, kind of maybe laying on her bed, and they kind of pan around her walls of her room to kind of give you a sense of like her being in her room. And they pan around the walls of her room, and I just caught it real quick, and I see a Milo up on her wall, but it's a modified Milo, the way you see, people modify the Milo for so many different, they steal it and they do whatever. And I think it's cool. But so this particular one, there was a poster on her wall that had the Milo on it. And the name of the band is where it would say Descendents, it says Indigenous. Okay.
I love it.
So the name of the band is Indigenous, and the album is called Milo Gets the Land Back.
I love that.
So this is a huge statement, about being indigenous, but it's done in a fun way, in a funny way. So the band's called Indigenous. Milo Gets the Land Back. If you Google it, you will crack up.
That's really good. Yeah, I obviously I only watched the first season of it and it didn't pop up there. So yeah, that's really, really cool.
No, you got to Google it, because it's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, how did our thing make it what seems like so far away? How did our thing have that far of a reach?
I mean, honestly, like I'll just echo an experience that I had. Like, truthfully, I got into you guys via the Christian Slater film "Pump Up the Volume" that came out in the early '90s.
Oh, no shit. Did you really?
I was the right age watching that, and I was interested in music, but also like, as a younger kid, you have that, sort of humorous nature that's connected to music. Like, I mean, so many kids get into like Weird Al or whatever. And so like, I just remember hearing your song, and it was the Wiener Schnitzel, and I was just like, what is that? And then,
Yeah, and what's funny is he plays it twice in a row.
he does. You're right.
in the movie. And well, see, Wiener Schnitzel is the perfect vehicle for that, because when Wiener Schnitzel came out, there was not a song like that. Like, I'm not going to try to say like I invented a song style,
Sure.
but I kind of did.
Mm-hmm.
Because no, there's no song like that.
Nope.
And it also has what I think now in metal is come to be known as the blast beat.
Yep.
I mean, I was doing that where like you play all the beats on all the drums, every beat, ba, 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 da, 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 ba, ba, ba. And so that one is striking, and I could see somebody going, "Whoa, what the hell's that band? I want to check that band out." Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas it wouldn't have been the same if they were playing like, Silly Girl or something. It's like, because plus so many bands kind of do that thing now that it wouldn't stick out. But Wiener Schnitzel still sticks out. It's like, what the hell's that?
There's something magical about spooky season. Everybody knows it, and a lot of people embrace it, but Rockabilia.com fully embraces it. First of all, they're using a promo code, 100 words or less, for 10% off of your order, and they have amazing partnerships with so many bands, and I don't care if you're into like punk, hardcore, metal, whatever it is, they got it, and it's all officially licensed, which that means the bands get paid, you get high quality merchandise, you support an independent business in the Midwest. It's just such a great opportunity. They actually have some New York Comic Con leftovers. They did some collaborations with Gojira. They also did The Return of the Living Dead, the partnership with that incredible film of the 80s or 90s. I think Send More Paramedics was a quote from that film that's just, oh man, so good. But I don't care what you're into, punk, hardcore, metal, all that stuff. They got it in spades, ships it to you very fast, and gets it to you in a very effective manner. So go to rockabilia.com, check out all the rad limited edition merch and collaborations that they have going on, and use the promo code 100 words or less for 10% off your order. Thank you for your continued support, Rockabilia. Since you guys have been back, and like you mentioned before, you're getting thrown into these larger festivals, and yes, you guys still play club shows, you play everything in between. As you started to have these larger opportunities, was there any, I guess, fear or trepidation on your end, being like, oh my gosh, I guess we have to take ourselves seriously because we're like a big band now or whatever? Or did you just treat it like another gig?
Fortunately, I don't think we ever like fell under that spell of like, well, you feel like you have to do things, professionally and stuff. It's funny when bands get big, a lot of times and I don't just mean like, oh, they went to a major label, they sold out. I mean, that's pretty stupid. That's pretty reductionist to look at it like that. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, a lot of times when bands get a little bigger, all of a sudden they think they have to. It's real common. You'll see a band get bigger, and the next thing you know, they're firing their roadies and getting like, kind of pro crew guys. Those guys you see at the shows, they have those soldiers, they have those walkie-talkies, that shit?
Yep.
All that stuff. What the fuck is that? But and then they'll fire their manager and get a manager who manages whatever the most famous band in their genre is. They'll get a new booking agent instead of the booking agent that was doing a great job from them. All of a sudden, now they got to have, they got to have Michael Jackson's booking agent or whatever. And then instead of using a van and a trailer, the next thing you know, they got to have not one, but two buses. They got to have a bus for the band and then a bus for the crew. And they got to have a whole truckload full of shit and bringing in their own PA and maybe starting to dress differently. And, maybe they're playing with a click on stage, a metronome. And it's kind of like, yeah, people liked you for what you were. You didn't have to, they liked you for what you were. So why'd you change it?
Sure. Why do you have to do all this different stuff? Sure.
Yeah, yeah, because and I don't mean to pick on bands that have. I'd say typically a band on our level would have about like 5 to 8 crew people doing various things. So you got your sound guy, your lighting guy, your monitor guy, your guitar tech, your drum tech, your tour manager, your driver, your merch guy. That I just named 8 people, right? So we just have 3. We have our merch guy and then our 2 other guys that like they do everything else. And so it's 3 guys, no walkie-talkies, no semi-trucks.
Keep it simple.
It works for us. And the thing is, to not get too far into the woods here, but like we pay our guys probably close to double of what all those many army men, many soldiers that are out on tour
Sure.
make. You know, because my guys do a lot of work, and they I pay them like the kind of money that's like a career.
Sure. They're an extension of
Whereas
your band. Yeah.
if I had 8 guys, they'd each have half a career. And then too, the other thing that happens is all of a sudden the band is twice as big as they were 3 times, 4 times, but the band members are coming home with less money than they did when they were playing in 500 capacity clubs.
Yep.
Because they're spending it all on all this stuff. So we haven't fallen into that trap too much. We've tried a few little things to see if it would improve the quality, but for the most part, it's just still the same as it was when we were in our garage.
A question that I regularly get on my social media platforms is, how do you store your vinyl? Because some people have seen, whether it's, video footage or YouTube footage of, me recording interviews or whatever, they see the shelves. And the simple answer is that, yes, it's custom, but the secret is wickerwoodworks.com is the place that you need to go for awesome vinyl storage solutions for any shape and size of your collection. But they want you to save money. Use the promo code 100 words. That's the number 100 words for 10% off orders of $500 or more. And trust me in saying this place is amazing, and you will be able to see what they have for sale, whether it's something like a little tower or whether it's like a huge piece of furniture that you're going to put in your living room and put your record player there and put your vinyl collection on display. It just looks so slick and awesome. And like I said, I don't care what size your vinyl collection is, they have a solution for everybody. It ships fully assembled, so you don't need to, sit there and spend hours and hours assembling something that gets shipped to you in tiny little pieces. And that's another reason why Wicker Woodworks is an amazing company. Based in the Pacific Northwest, they source all of their materials from, local tree farms and other sustainable places in that area. And turnaround time is like 4 weeks. They'll get this to you very fast. So maybe you're looking for a little holiday gift. I'm just giving you the idea. So check out wickerwoodworks.com and use the promo code 100 words for 10% off orders of $500 or more. Check it out. Bringing up the filmage, like I was saying, was it tough for you, as everything was getting kind of, pulled together, and you clearly said yes to obviously going through this documentary process. But was it difficult for you to kind of open up about, your health and life outside of music? Or was that a pretty natural process as it started to go?
Well, it's funny. My involvement in the movie was one like 1 hour interview, and I did nothing else. I mean, and none of the band, did any armchair quarterbacking or micromanaging. These kids said, "Hey, we want to make a movie about the band." And we all said, "Yeah, okay, make a movie about the band." And then they made a movie about the band. So whatever they asked me during that interview, I answered it. And I didn't feel weird about talking about my health. I mean, it's a natural thing to talk about what's going on in your life. And that was a heavy thing. I mean, I will say that when I watched the movie, because I mean, I saw it for the first time when it was done. The same way you saw it, that's how I saw it. I never saw any rough cuts, any daily reels or any of that stuff. Just when it was done, I watched it. And I will say that it was, at first, it was a little bit off-putting that the story kind of the story kind of, a lot of it was sort of, my story in a way. And I think they liked the idea that for me to have almost died, and then then this triumphant return, and that they could add a little bit of actual drama to the movie instead of just a documentary about another band. And
Hmm.
I understand why they did it, but for me, I'm a pretty self-conscious guy when it comes to cameras and video cameras. So it's like, God, quit putting the camera on me. Put it on Milo or Carl or Stefan or Tony or somebody. Don't put it on me.
Right. They're like, there's a reason I'm the drummer, guys.
Yeah. I say that all the time. I go, look, there's a reason I'm hiding behind my drum set. I don't want to be the star, but I mean, I understand why they did it that way, and I appreciate it. I'm able to see it for what it is. But when I watched it, I was like, oh no, those guys are gonna kill me. They made the movie, too much on me, and I didn't want that.
Sure, sure. No, I understand, especially when I mean, the documentary goes on long enough to obviously make it not about you as well, but that I understand that fear that you probably had, like halfway through, you're just like, guy, like, we need to talk about somebody else now, please.
Or maybe, you know what? Maybe it isn't that bad, but that me being so self-conscious that when I watch it, that's how I see it. Maybe it isn't too much that way. But when I watched it, that was what I felt when I watched it.
The notion that you have been able to play in a variety of different projects, whether it's all only crime, all that sort of stuff. Do you, I guess, alter or augment your drumming at all for the different projects that you do, or do you feel that your job is to be I know your job is to be you, but do you feel like just the consistency is the most important?
Well, the alterations that I make to my playing, those happen more on a song to song level. Like it's long been an interview question of to try to pin down, well, like how is it different playing in All than playing in
Hmm.
Descendants? And I'm like, no, it's not that. It's how is it different playing here in my van compared to playing I Want to Be a Bear? Or how is it different playing Educated Idiot compared to playing Suburban Home? Like, it's not, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
not, I don't think about how I'm going to approach it based upon what the band name is. I approach it based upon what the song needs.
sure. That is your deciding factor rather than the I have to alter my playing for this band because of this reason.
No, I don't have that. I have Bill style. I don't have like Only Crime style, Descendants style, All
Right.
style. I did an album and a tour for the Lemonheads, Lemonhead style. I mean, with Lemonheads, there was a long standing catalog of music that I had to learn. And in that case, I was more playing those songs kind of how that person who recorded them played them. And in that way, I made an adjustment. But I mean, when I recorded a Lemonhead album, with me on drums, me producing, I wrote some songs on it, and I had Carl on bass. I mean, I just played how we play. But that being said, the only crime has proven to be the most difficult. I mean, there are certain only crime songs they are the most difficult songs on drums where I can barely manage them. That's that's a little bit different there, where there's some of that on the that outer extreme of things. So those guys, the only crime guys, like their median age is probably 15 years my junior or more, my junior. And so they're telling me, hey man, play this, check this out, listen to this guy, he's doing the blast beat, and let's go to this guy. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, but I can't do that. And they're like, well, try it. So I try it. And that's cool because it's fun being outside your comfort zone. Somebody presents you with something and go, hey man, what about this? And you're like, oh, okay, yeah, what about that? Why don't you play it if you like it so much?
Totally. Uh, and kind of on that notion, just like do you feel like you are a nostalgic person? I mean, because clearly every interview and not every interview, but people want to, speak with you about specific records or what have you. Do you find yourself being a nostalgic person, or generally is it kind of like, you trying to live in the moment and speak about the thing that you're thinking about? Where do you kind of place yourself on that spectrum?
Maybe 3/4 of the way toward the not nostalgic, but I think I have a bigger I have a bigger dose of what I would call sentimentality than nostalgia. And I mean that in some ways they manifest themselves the same way as each other, but I'm not the kind of guy that would look back and go, yeah, man, that I Don't Want to Grow Up record, man, that was the greatest thing in the world. We'll never do better than that. I don't think like that. I think like tomorrow I'm going to wake up and try to do something way better than that, like 5 times better than that. But then I have sentimentality, like it comes out. The sentimentality I think comes out in the lyrics. Like some of my songs are pretty, sappy, pretty cheesy, pretty like I'm like a pushover kind of a wimpy guy. And that I am that. I am kind of a pushover wimpy guy, like psychologically. And so then you get Silly Girl and Clean Sheets and Good Things and Vikage, and you get all that. But yeah, I'm not too nostalgic.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I mean, it's like you're to that point, like you're in certain respects, you're forced to be nostalgic because you are playing songs that are, 20, 30 years old or what have you, but you're wrapped up in the performance of it that you're not, like walking down memory lane probably every time you're playing the song.
Well, yeah, because just the same as it was 40 years ago, the day I recorded it.
Yep.
It's really, really, really hard to play my age. Like it just is. All those 16th notes and 8th notes and all that. It's really hard to play it. It's just the goal is just to get through it. And so that's still the goal. So there's no no nostalgia there. It's just as difficult now as it ever was.
Sure. You're like, I was barely able to hang on 40 years ago, and this statement still holds true.
Well, plus now I'm older, so my physical body is, you start to lose muscle mass when you get, in your middle, you start to lose muscle mass, you lose cognitive, you lose speed, you lose proprioception, all that kind of good stuff. I'm eating my blueberries every day. They say that helps stave off cognitive decline. So I'm doing what I can. I will say this: in the old days, like maybe give me a large coffee and a Snicker bar, and I'm good to get through that show, and I'll give them hell, right?
Right.
But now it's more like you got to give me 10 espresso, then I'll get through it.
Actually, on that topic, the fact that I mean, you guys as a band were always an antidote to the nihilistic nature that many punk bands existed in, and you guys were like, yeah, obviously singing about coffee and not a lot of not imbibing in a lot of the substances that brought bands down. Do you think that was just a function of like you guys were aware of kind of the destructive nature of a lot of that stuff, or that was just like never in your DNA as a person to kind of get wrapped up in, whether it's cocaine, heroin, like all the, bad things that obviously bring people down?
Yeah. This is a fun thing to talk about. So, me personally, I mean, my father did an excellent job of just scaring the shit out of me with respect to taking any drugs or drinking. He made it sound like if I took one speck of a hit of pot, I was gonna become a a homeless person pi pissing myself on the sidewalk.
Sure.
So I was afraid. I was afraid to take any drugs. I've never smoked a cigarette, never smoked a joint. I mean, if anything, I mean, I'll go right up to the edge with respect to stimulants, but I draw the line at amphetamine. Like I don't fuck with amphetamine. But I mean, okay, you tell me, one Adderall or like, okay, I've had 14 espresso before we went on before. Well, which is worse? I don't know. You know,
Right.
they're both fucking gnarly. And I never met. But, I mean, Frank used to be kind of a little bit of a pothead. He liked to get high sometimes. Milo really never messed with any of it either. Tony was really he he lived like through like the 60s. He's quite a bit older than us.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he experimented with some of that stuff early on, and then he was like, "Nah, this is not for me." He was probably the most like health conscious of any of us at the time. Um, Carl, Carl's been known to smoke a joint, and
Sure.
Stefan went through a whole thing. He went hard. He went hard into all that stuff, and he had to like, clean up and
Yep.
get himself straight. So now he he walks a pretty straight line these days. But then that being said, I mean, when we're done playing, when the work day is all done and we're done and we're in the bus hanging out, listening to our Generation X album like we've been doing for 40 years, we we'll make a cocktail or two and have, or Milo likes an IPA. Milo likes an IPA and some single malt scotch. And usually I'll make Stefan a cocktail. I like my cocktails real dilute, like a clear liquor, and then with like a little bit of lime and maybe some little bit of a sweet element, and then like a whole can of bubbly water in there, so they're fresh.
Sure.
But yeah, you get a little buzz from that. Carl, he'll drink just like a little bit of like straight vodka or straight whiskey, but none of us go hard. None of us go hard with that, and we really, that's just never been our thing. I think it would just make it more difficult to play if I was encumbered in that way.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I totally get that.
But it's funny, I honestly, I don't have like a morality thing against it. I say, whatever people want to do, let them do it. And, but it is sad to see somebody, especially if you've known them a long time, and then you see them fall down that hole of, that's kind of what happened with our old roadie Bug. Bug basically drank himself to death over 3-4 decades, and that was sad to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'll crack a beer when we're done playing. Hell yeah! But I won't crack 10 beers.
Sure. Right. Everything in moderation besides coffee.
Yeah, everything in moderation except for my coffee and all. I got some herbal things.
Okay.
That helped me out. So like I said, everything short of amphetamine. Like, look at what do we got here? We got alpha GPC, beta glucans, CDP choline, PQQ, acetyl L-carnitine, alpha lipoic acid,
All the good stuff.
L-tyrosine, rhodiola rosea, urolithin A, taurine,
There we go.
modafinil,
Wow.
and coffee. So just everything short of, those are all like modafinil's just on this side of Adderall. It's not an amphetamine, but it'll keep you focused, I'll tell you.
Sure, sure.
But then you got to deal with that. If you're doing that every night before you go on tour, I mean, before your play, then you come home from tour, you got to either keep doing it or escalate the dose, or you got to come home from tour and you got to suck it up for 2 weeks and just quit off of all of it and start over.
Right.
Which is what I do. And that's no fun. That's painful,
Sure.
when you've been drinking 4 billion coffees every day and then you go cut it back down to, 1 or 2 cups a day. That sucks.
Since, punk as a not only subculture, but music style has been able to, age and been able to kind of get out there in ways that, I know many people would be surprised at where it is now versus where it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Do you, what sort of, and I realize it's probably a big question, but, and you don't have to get too specific, but like the overall differences that you see in the context of, whether it's the scene, whether it's, musically you want to speak on, kind of, the differences that you've noticed, over the years of this thing, becoming as big as important as it is now.
I think in the late 70s or early 80s, there was like the punk scene, right?
Yep.
Now I think there's like 50 punk scenes. And so, if you want to look at it and go, well, yeah, after the mall punk thing happened and like punk rock, got gamified and whatever, you could say that.
Mm-hmm.
But I could take you to a club right here in town and you could see some bands that were not affected by that pernicious influence. And that, you can find them, you look at Pears, look at a Wilhelm Scream, look at, whoever, like it's tons of great punk bands. That, like that Hot Topic type thing, that any of us that were really in this for the right reasons, we just fucking ignored all that.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel like the, I guess you kind of like, observing how like all of the different branches off of the punk tree, I mean, you've had to, come across it. And like you said, you just, for the most part, have to ignore it. Is it, but you're obviously like happy to kind of, coexist with those bands and everything like that. Do you feel that, I guess like a lot of the, core components of what, the music scene has obviously come to is drastically different than what kind of drew you into the first place? Or do you recognize a lot of it still pulling, young kids into playing, punk or hardcore or whatever?
No, I think it's there. It's just it's like it's hiding out in different places than the place that it hid out, when you were a teenager. It's they moved, they relocated to different places, but it's still there. Yeah. And a lot of it, some of it I think was maybe kept alive or slash evolved a bit, was, in the hardcore scene. I think a lot of good came there, but then also some lame stuff too. Like I'm not real big on that kind of that jockey thing. I'm not really trying to watch a punk band that's got like a sports team jersey on.
Sure.
But I mean, that just doesn't seem quite right. But who am I, right? To judge. Let them do what they want. If you don't like that, go see Audio Karate. Go see No Knife. Go see Pears. Go see what's that wonderful band from Australia that I've been digging on so long, and I can't think of the name.
Friends of Romb?
Well, yeah, yeah, exactly. Well,
yeah,
we've recorded two or three albums with them, I think, at the studio. But that's a
Definitely.
perfect example. I mean, they're punk as fuck.
One last thing I wanted to hit on before I let you go was like we actually were talking about towards the beginning of the conversation of, your identity within, it's like, oh yes, I'm a father first and then a music dude second or what have you. Um, because you kind of exist in the world of playing in bands, but then you can return home to be able to whatever, mix bands and obviously participate in music in a different way. Do you feel like that I guess keeps you rooted, for lack of a better term, in the real world to actually have experiences to be able to write music, or how do you kind of view yourself as being in these two worlds?
They're kind of all one world. I mean, 5 years ago, my son comes up to me and he says, "Hey, Dad, will you show me how to play some guitar chords? I want to learn how to play guitar." And I'm like, "Yeah, you damn right I will." I was inside. I was just going, "Hell yeah!" I was so stoked because he hadn't
Sure.
shown any interest in music, in playing music before that. By contrast to my daughter, who I've been recording her singing like since she was 11. I started recording her singing. She's like a natural talent. She just about every 3 or 4 months she'll send me. She'll hear some song and she'll go, "Dad, I want you to record me singing this song." And so we'll do it. But so then when my son came, and so I showed him guitar, and then COVID hit, and then next thing you know, we're in my basement. I have a small studio in my basement. So we're in my basement and we're making little demos and recordings. Like he barely just knew how to play just a power chord, and I recorded him playing and singing the Ramones, "I Just Want to Have Something to Do." So I played drums and bass on it, and he played guitar on it and sung it. I mean, he was fresh, green on the vine. But now he know now he learned all the chords I could show him, and then he learned all the chords that everybody else in the world plays too. He knows all the what I call the expensive chords, all the add nines and minor sixths and 11ths, all the fancy chords. And he's got a band right now. He's had two other bands previous to that. And now he works at my studio full time. He works at the blasting room. He took up engineering as well. So yeah, it's all just one world, I
Yeah.
think.
No, that's awesome. I get the last question, I promise. The idea that, do your kids view your music as like, dad's lame music, or do they have a sense of appreciation for it at all?
It's interesting as they have aged, like that thing you're talking about, it has changed and it has flip-flopped a few times. Um, when they're little, it's like, that's dada playing drums in front of all these people. That's cool. But then when they were like 10, 8, 10, 12, it's like, yeah, somebody stopped me and asked me if I'm your kid, and I said, "Yeah." And they told me how great you are, and it's like they obviously hate it. They hate that. Um, but then they got a little bit older, and then they're all of a sudden like, "Oh wow, my dad, like he really, really works hard at this. Like he works 16, 18 hours a day, every day on his music. He works on this music harder than anybody works on anything." And now his band's playing to like 5, 10,000 people. It's like I can respect that. Like that's that's great.
What a fun conversation. And a little tidbit for those of you that are still listening. Bill was so awesome because he was just walking around his house on his phone with his camera on, because I sometimes like to, look at people as we're having a conversation. And he wasn't about to sit down. He was just wandering around his house. So I had a very vertigo-inducing interview with him during this time, but it was great because he was totally locked in, and I just had to kind of, look away from the screen occasionally to be like, wow, I'm just like bouncing around looking at his ceiling. It was so funny. But the fun stuff that you go through when you are compiling these interviews and having these conversations with people. But anyways, like I said, buy all the Descendents reissues, orgmusic.com is the place that you can go, or you can obviously find them on any sort of vinyl purchasing platform you care to give your money to. Next week is a great episode with Brett Burnham, the vocalist from Baltimore hardcore band Torn Apart. And I realize for many of you, Torn Apart is like, huh? Wait, was that a hardcore band from the 90s? And the answer for you is yes, they absolutely were. And they existed a little bit in the early 2000s. Torn Apart for me was huge. They put out a record called Nothing is Permanent on Life Sentence Records. And that really, really pulled me into the metalcore world even deeper than I already was. And the band has always been shrouded in mystery. I randomly caught them on a reunion show. Gosh, I want to say like 20... maybe 11, 12. I can't remember the time, but it was in Baltimore, and they were great. They played with Turmoil. It was awesome. But anyways, there's just so much history of this band that is not documented, and I wanted to get to the bottom of it. And Brett was really, really kind because the band is playing some reunion shows. They actually just played this past weekend, and we get into it, the history of Torn Apart and Baltimore metalcore. So that's what we got next week. Until then, please be safe, everybody.